I don't know who needs to hear this today, but are you willing to submit to the will of God? You know, there are some people who will pray for a thing, and then when it becomes clear that God has shut that door, they're going to run around back and see if they can find an open window somewhere. Such is not the case with today's author. Her birth name was Sarah, but she grew to dislike that name to the point where she changed it to Adelaide. Adelaide Addison Pollard. In 1902, she was experiencing what she calls a distress of the soul. She was attempting to raise funds in order to go on a mission trip to the continent of Africa. Unfortunately, those plans were unsuccessful. During this time, she attended a women's prayer meeting, and an elderly woman whose name has been lost to history was leading the prayers that evening. And she broke with custom. She did not ask for the typical prayer requests before the time of prayer began. Instead, she simply asked the Lord to help all to be able to understand His will in their lives. Following that prayer meeting, Adelaide went home, and as she reflected on the service and as she reflected on her circumstances, her thoughts went to the story of the potter in the book of Jeremiah. Specifically, Jeremiah 18, verses 3 and 4. There, Jeremiah says, "Then I went down to the potter's house, and there he was, making something on a wheel. But the vessel that he was making of clay was spoiled in the hand of the potter. So he remade it into another vessel, as it pleased the potter to make." Before going to bed that evening in 1902, that fateful night in 1902, Adelaide had written all 4 stanzas to this most beloved hymn in our songbook. But what was this hymn? What was this hymn born out of disappointment regarding her will in contrast to the will of God? Take a listen, and I'll be back.
Have thine own way, Lord, have thine own way. Thou art the potter, I am the clay. Mold me and make me after thy will, while I am waiting, yielded and still.
Adelaide would eventually make it to Africa for missionary service just prior to the onset of World War I, proving that sometimes the issue isn't one of will, but rather of timing. She wound up spending the bulk of the war years in Scotland, and at the conclusion of the war, she returned to the United States, where she spent the rest of her life in New England with ministry service as well. Ms. Pollard wrote many hymns. We do not know the exact account or number of hymns because she never wanted any personal honor or recognition for her hymns, preferring rather that God receive the glory for her works. Of those that we do know that she wrote, she simply signed them with her initials, AAP. Today's hymn is the only one that remains in regular use to this day. So I ask you again, are you, like Adelaide, willing to allow the Lord's will? Are you willing to let Him have His way in your life? Are you submitting to the will of God? I've got nothing but big love for you. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.